Here's the 5 reasons why you should travel more in 2024. 1, getting out of your environment. Are you feeling like you're stuck right now? I also feel that way all the time, especially when I'm in a certain environment. After COVID, I was basically at my home and apartment like you guys for 2 years about, right? And then from there, I started feeling really like I was getting antsy in some ways because before in my life, I traveled a lot. And I realized that being stuck in a situation where you feel like you can't get out of, and then all of a sudden you start to utilize a lot of things like food, TV, the same route when you drive your car, your parents, you get so comfortable that depression kicks in. You start to feel like there's something else out there that you're afraid to go get. And when you travel, whether it's a different town, whether it's a different city, whether it's a different country, that chain is instantly broken because now you aren't in that same form of quicksand anymore. You're now in an aspect where you could go anywhere now. And it's really revitalized. What's it called? You get rejuvenated in a way. And you start to think differently. Your body moves differently. And with traveling, that gives you the chance to change that environment and get those benefits from that. 2, experiencing different cultures. Best case scenario, you get to leave the country. You could leave the city. You could leave the town. But in most cases, when you leave your environment or your comfort zone, you get to experience other people's foods, languages, demeanor. And it's one of the trippiest things. I had this type of situation when I first moved or lived in Taiwan. I was 19 years old, and I was basically stuck between going to college, working for my family business, or just getting a job and seeing where that goes. So I had the chance to move to Taiwan for 6 months and experience living in a different country that I've never been in before. And by doing so, I was able to fully immerse myself into the culture and the language where I felt so uncomfortable that I had to do things that I never thought I had to do. And I'm not meaning that in any type of weird way. I literally had to walk differently. I had to talk differently. My body, my facial expressions had to change. And I felt by going into this type of environment that not only was I being culture shocked, but I was also learning how culture can make you adapt in a different way where you're not just only in survival mode. You're in experiencing mode. You're in the want to experience new things mode. And you learn something about yourself that you never really realized that you had in you. Because when you're by yourself in a different country, or best case scenario, just with friends or whatever, you're in a situation where you're so uncomfortable that it's like you're not even you. And by doing that, I kind of like that. We've been learning for so long that this is what we're supposed to do in our lives, and this is how we're supposed to be, and this is how we're supposed to talk. But when you go to a different country or a different city or a whole different area and you experience other people's cultures, you can kind of be a different person. And by being a different person, you realize, there's some changes that need to be made in in the life of comfort for sure. 3. What did I write? I'm doing a checklist over here. So, So going back to experiencing new cultures, you also feel that feeling of getting lost. When you feel like you're getting lost and you have no idea where you're going, sometimes that's okay. I was lost on a motorcycle in Taiwan, and no one speaks English over there, right? I was on a road where there was enough buildings and enough people where I could go in and point to a hotel map, for example, or, look on my phone that didn't have internet service and at least have the phone number and address of my hotel. This is back in 2008, 2009. Oh, shit, 2010. Holy fuck. But yeah, anyways, I felt so lost that I had to whip out things that I've learned through TV and hearing different people's stories. And they were all experimental, but somehow when you're talking to someone who doesn't understand English, you have one tool that can maybe help you get to where you need to go. The next step is all experimental. There's a lot of pointing, there's a lot of laughing, there's a lot of I don't knows, but somehow you figure out that it works out no matter what. Nothing's really bad going to happen unless you're in the desert or you're in a rainforest. You're in different situations where you need to utilize other tools just to survive. It can get a little tricky, but if you're in a different country where it's predominantly known, there's a decent amount of tourists, at least for a start, right? You can kind of maneuver your way around where you'd be able to get where you need to get, even if you're lost, and still go where you need to go. And that's a very powerful thing to do, especially when you're developing certain skills for your future, because you end up being different at problem solving. Your problem solving changes. Your mind changes where you can problem solve in different ways rather than just what you've known for such a long period of time based on being stuck in comfort, right? I think right now the biggest villain in our stories right now is comfort. And it's a villain if you are not happy of where you are right now. If you are not happy with where you are right now, it's because you're too comfortable. It's because you're not moving enough. You're not trying new things. And with traveling, that gives you a chance to get so many different experiences and different ways of getting uncomfortable that it gives you a whole new light when you come back home. 3, geography. Shit. If you're from the city and you've never been to a beach, traveling will get you to a beach. There's so many different options of beaches out there, whether it's in the States, whether it's in Europe, whether it's in Asia, Africa, no matter where you are, Caribbean, for example. If you know where you want to go when you go travel, for example, if you want to be in sun with turquoise blue water and nice white sand, go to the Bahamas. Go to Turks and Caicos. You now know what you want to see with your eyes, rather than seeing on a screen on Instagram or Google Images. Instead of going through Google Images or Instagram, for example, and you have the means to get there, travel to where you want, what you have vision in your head. Like geography-wise, if I want to be at a mountain in Japan, there's a way to get there, and I can get there in 12 hours, 13 hours, 15 hours, whatever the amount of time is. That's a bad timing. I don't know what that is. But you have a chance to experience what you see all the time in our comfort zone. We see it all the time on Netflix and TV. All these are antagonists and actors and protagonists and all these characters in a different world. But all these places were real places sometimes. And for example, going back to the beach, if you've always wanted to go to that type of beach with that type of colored water and that beautiful white sand and that 80-degree weather beaming on your skin to get that nice little toast when you get a suntan, if you want to feel that, travel and go to that. Imagine you can go somewhere that you always wanted to go. You just got to go, right? And that's why I tell a lot of people, we're from Rhode Island, so we have a very small state. And sometimes people have never left their state. They've never left their town. They've never left their city. And I'm not bagging that. What I'm saying is if you envision a place in your head that you've seen in the past through whatever, and you have the means to get there, go. It's like that easy. It really is that fucking easy. You can maneuver your job. You can figure out ways for the dog. If you have kids, you can bring them with you. You can figure out what grandma, whatever it is. Money. I would hate to say to put you in debt, but you can use a firm now to pay monthly payments and get to where you want to go. The power of traveling is just so. I don't know if you can tell, but I really do miss it because I moved from Rhode Island to LA and I was like, oh my God, I've always wanted to go to LA, California. And I'm here. But man, it's been here for 2 years and I'm just aching to go somewhere. I just want to go to Asia so bad because I just miss that little sense of tingle. I don't know what it's called. I don't know what to tell you right now. It's not anxiety. It's excitement. It's also a little bit of fear, a little bit. And it's an addicting feeling because when you land in that new place, you're in a whole different world. And being in a different world is one of the coolest feelings you could experience. And lastly, wrapping all this stuff together, meeting people. When you travel, there's always going to be people there, right? And the people there, whether they're foreigners as well or whether they're locals, those people are people you've never met in your entire life, right? You've never seen that type of person, whether it's a different skin color, whether it's a different accent, whether it's a different body language. And when you strike a conversation with these people, you realize that we're all basically the same. We all have different ways and we're all packaged differently, but at the same time is you get to meet somebody that you've never met in your entire life, strike a conversation, and you could end up being best friends with them for the rest of your life. I've experienced in my life traveling to a lot of places in Asia specifically where I met locals, Hong Kong, Thailand, China, and Mexico, France, and each one of those little places I've been able to meet 1, 2, 3 locals, 1, 2, 3 expats. And the coolest thing that I can maybe suggest, or not suggest, the coolest thing that I can bring light is your stories and their stories are why we are humans. When we meet someone that we've never met in our entire life and we're able to strike conversation with them, get that out of the way, but then really sit down and learn about somebody else, but also be reminded about some of the cool stuff that you've done in your past, even if you don't think it's cool. When you're telling that story to this person you've never met in your entire life, you're going to be very shocked at how cool you really, really are. An addicting feeling that you're able to do this on a regular basis or even once in your life, but to get that chance to meet somebody else in a different world at the same time, like what are the odds of you running into this person if you really think about it? And it's all up to you by looking where you want to go and just committing to trying. Traveling will save your life. It will change your life. It will change your perspective in a way where you either want to do it more or be a better person, and you really can't go wrong with that. So that's why I suggest to travel in 2024. And if you like this video, this was my first video, by the way. If you like this video, like and subscribe, share. And why don't you tell me in the comments below an experience that you may have had where traveling really changed you.